What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Vegas 62. We have Alexa Grasso going against Viviane Araújo.
I need all the wins, yeah. All that and all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another betting breakdown video. This week breaking down UFC Vegas 62. We have an 11-fight card. We did unfortunately lose the Brandon Royval Askar Askarov fight, which kind of sucks. Like, this card is a card that, on paper, not the best. I think it's going to be a very good card. I think there's a lot of great matchups, but, you know, in terms of name value, not really there. But the Askarov fight, you know, being off, it hurts the card a lot. But luckily, we have UFC 280 next week, and this is kind of a week in UFC Vegas 62 where I'm going to be keeping it light. I actually have more action already on UFC 280 next week than I do have for this card. I am keeping it light this week, a very sketchy card in my opinion. Couple spots to stick out and we'll talk about, but yeah, just the card I'm going to be keeping it kind of light this week. So as always, going to be breaking down these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I like which fighter, on why I'm betting what, I did do a full card breakdown and prediction video like last Saturday night. And then I also did a live stream on Friday, so make sure you guys check that out if you have not already. Leave a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Let's get those likes up. Do appreciate that a ton. And yeah, let's get into this card here. So we have Pete Rodriguez going against Mike Jackson. This is officially the 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. Man, I mean, there's nothing you can do here. Like, from a betting perspective, there's absolutely nothing you can do. The under 1.5 rounds is like minus 280. 280 at this point. And I don't see Mike Jackson finishing Pete Rodriguez. You know, Mike Jackson, I don't see him finishing anybody ever. So if there is a finish, it's going to be Pete Rodriguez, and that's what I think is going to happen. I think Rodriguez is going to finish Mike Jackson in the very first round, but how can you bet that? You just can't. You can't bet the under at this point. You know, the fight doesn't go to decision is like minus 800 on some books. Pete Rodriguez round one is like minus 165, so you're laying chalk on a guy with only a handful of fights who's never seen the second round. I mean, it's sketchy, so I will not be betting on this fight. If you got the under 1.5 like early, like last week, like around minus 150, I think that's a really good look. I think the under is great. I think the under hits. It's just minus 280. You can't play that. So it's going to be a pass for me, but I'll pick Rodriguez to win by round one knockout, but no bet. Next, we have Tatsuro Taira going against CJ Vergara. This is a very intriguing fight here. You know, this is a fight where I disagree with the money line here a decent amount. Taira, I really like his grappling, and that's what stuck out to me the most. Like, this guy's grappling at only 22 years old. It's very slick. He's very dangerous, but you know, on the feet, I think he's a good striker. It's just he's very low volume at times, and I think although he has this great grappling, I don't know if he has the best wrestling and the best ability to get it down to the mat. CJ Vergara did miss weight by a couple pounds, which, if you ask me who it favors, I'll say it probably does favor the Vergara side, just because he's going to have the weight advantage. But if you ask, you know, a Taira backer, he's going to say that favors him. If you ask a Vergara backer, they're going to say that weight advantage favors him. So it's all, you know, perspective, right? And I personally think the weight does help Vergara, if anything. But yeah, I do have a bet here as of now. I have the submission prop for Taira. Plus 360 quarter unit. I did miss the plus 385 there on FanDuel Sportsbook, but yeah, I think if Taira wins, it's going to be by sub. Could he win a decision? Potentially, just, you know, taking the fight down to the mat and riding out minutes. But I think if this fight does hit the mat, and I think if he is having success on the mat, I think he finishes it. Like, you know, Vergara has been submitted before. I saw him get taken down and submitted like easily. And Taira's grappling is no joke. It's just what concerns me here, in terms of laying the price tag here on Taira, is going to be the wrestling, the lack of wrestling. But if this fight hits the mat once, I think it's over. So yeah, give me a quarter unit on the sub prop for Taira. I don't hate anybody taking a shot on Vergara. The money line, plus 220, because if this fight does not hit the mat, like, you know, Taira is not looking minus 260. There's no way. I mean, Vergara on the feet, he's going to be throwing it a lot more and landing a lot more. So yeah, from a money line standpoint, it's dog or pass, but give me the Taira submission, quarter unit, plus 360. I think that's how he wins. Next, we have Pierre Rodriguez going against Sam Hughes. Yeah, I'm not betting this fight. You know, these are the matchups that have bit me in the past, and I've learned from it. And yeah, I'm very confident in Rodriguez, but there's been so many instances now at this point where I'm so confident in one of these fighters, like a Corey McKenna, like a Lupe Godinez, or the confidence through the roof. And they go out there and they, you know, crap the bed, or they go in there with a bad game plan, and yeah, I think Rodriguez is the better striker. I think she's going to have success on the feet. I think she could even mix in takedowns here as well. But Sam Hughes is a fighter that's very tough, very gritty, She's going to be there for 3 rounds. She's going to fight for your money. So I guess Sam Hughes can make it competitive, but I do lean Rodriguez, but you will not see me betting this fight. So yeah, pass, not touching it. Next, we have Joanderson Brito going against Lucas Alexander. This was a spot where all week I was refreshing, looking for that under 1.5 rounds. They finally get it out at around minus 105. I was able to hop on for a unit. I think Violence is a great look here. And the under 1.5 is still around that minus 120 range. I like it. I think Brito goes on there and finishes Alexander in the first round. I think Alexander has some holes in his game, although I was impressed with Alexander in a way. I like his style. I like, how he goes in there and fights, coming forward, throwing a ton of volume, pressuring, breaking his opponents. But he leaves a lot of openings standing. He's very hittable. I think, Joe Anderson can knock him out. And then on the mat, Alexander has been finished twice, both those by submission. Joe Anderson, legit black belt, very dangerous on the mat. I think Brito can submit him, so I think he can knock him out, submit him. And I think it happens in the first round. So give me the under 1.5, minus 105, one unit that hasn't moved a tad. I still like it where it's at, minus 120. I think the under is a good look here. I think Violence is a good look. I think Brito inside the distance is a good look. I think Brito finishes Lucas Alexander here. Next, we have Nick Maximov going against Jacob Malkoun. Yeah, this is a close fight. Probably the toughest fight to call on the card, and it is the closest line fight on the entire card. A fight that I feel like can go either way. And there's a prop that I've been looking out for throughout the week, and I said that if it was plus 400 or better, I would bet it, and it is. I'm going to bet it. It's the split decision. I have a quarter unit on the fight to end in split or majority decision at plus 400. And yeah, I've not hit one of these split props yet, but I mean, this one just makes a ton of sense, right? Like the fight goes the distance is like minus 280. So the odds makers are favoring it heavily to go the distance. I'm favoring it heavy to go the distance. And then the odds makers have this a close fight. I have this a close fight. So if it's going the distance, it's going to be a close fight. The split decision at plus 400 on DraftKings Sportsbook, I think, is worth a decent look here. So that's all I really have here. A quarter unit on that split, hoping to hit one for once. It just makes a lot of sense here. But as far as a pick and a winner, I'll go Maximov, but you won't see me having a ton of confidence in him. I think it can go either way. Victor Henry, Rafael Assunção. Yeah, I'm confident in Henry here. It's just the problem is, what do you parlay up Henry with? And I just couldn't find anything. I was potentially thinking of parlaying up the Henry money line with the fight doesn't go in the right Todorovic fight, and that came out to like minus 180 something earlier in the week. That's now probably like minus 250. I mean, both those lines got smashed. Victor Henry went from like minus 325 to like minus 425. So at this point, I'm fine with passing. I think Henry wins. The younger guy, I think Assunção's done. Although he's fought some very good competition as of late, has not been looking good. As long as Victor Henry comes in here like he did in his last fight and just throws a ton of volume, he should be able to win because Henry has that volume, whereas Assunção does not have any volume at all. So give me Henry here, but no props really sticking out. I mean, I could see him winning a decision. I could see him knocking him out. I like the money line as a parlay piece, but I just don't know what I would parlay it with. So give me Henry for the win, though. And by the way, sorry about my voice. I am sick, believe it or not. Once again, I went on vacation, and for the second time in a row, I'm sick again. I don't know what's going on, but I think I'm done going on vacations because it gets sick every time. So if my voice sounds a little bit weird, a little bit different, I am a little bit under the weather. So sorry about that, guys. All right, moving on to the main card, though. We have Mano Martinez going against Brandon Davis. Mano Martinez minus 150, Brandon Davis plus 130. I actually like Mano Martinez here quite a bit. I did not like how Brandon Davis looked in his last fight. I mean, I know it was against Dana Bakary, and Dana hits very hard, but guess who else hits very hard? That's Mano Martinez. He hits very, very hard. I don't know, just Davis. He looked washed. He looked done. And it's weird to say that he looked washed at only 32 years old, but the guy, he cuts a lot of weight. He's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career. He showed up against Dana and he looked bad. He looked horrible. I thought Davis may potentially be able to have success in terms of the volume and against Dana. And maybe that could be the case here against Mana, but I don't know. Like everything Dana was landing was just getting a very poor reaction out of Brandon Davis, and I think Mana hits very hard in his own right. So I like Mano Martinez here. I like Martinez to knock out Brandon Davis, and I actually have a half unit shot on Mano Martinez to win inside the distance at plus 190. I don't mind the knockout, but I went with the inside the distance just because it's a little bit safer. I don't know if Mana has a submission. Maybe one. No submissions, but you never know. Davis has been sub twice. I went with the inside the distance there, plus 190. I think Martinez does finish Brandon Davis. And yeah, I don't mind the money line even. It's just if this fight does go the distance, it could be competitive, especially if Brandon Davis does show up looking like his old self. Lots of volume, maybe mixing and takedowns as well. But I think Mana finishes him here. So give me a half a unit, Mono Martinez, plus 190 inside the distance. All right, moving on. We have Alonzo Menifield, Misha Serkinov. So I don't typically bet under 1.5s, but I do have 3 under 1.5s this card. I think it's a very violent card, and this is a very violent fight coming up. Alonzo Menifield, Misha Serkinov. I have 1 unit on the under 1.5. Was able to get it early, plus 100, and it's moved a tad. It's still like minus 120-ish, and I think that's a good look. This is striker versus grappler matchup here. I think this fight goes one of two ways. I think either Menifield goes out there and finishes Serkinov by first round knockout. Serkinov gets knocked out a ton, and he gets knocked out a ton in the first round. And Menifield has a ton of power. I don't like the chin of Serkinov. Serkinov now 35 years old. I think Menifield is absolutely live for a KO. On the flip side, if Serkinov gets his fight down to the mat once, the fight could be over shortly after. Serkinov's ground game is no joke at all. Serkinov's out here submitting very good ground. He's submitting black belts before. I think he runs through Menifield if he gets the fight down to the mat. So I like the under 1.5 rounds. Got it at plus 100 for 1 unit. I think somebody gets finished here, whether it's a Menifield KO or a Serkinov submission. Speaking of violence, speaking of unders, this was my first play of the card. Was able to get this in about a week and a half ago, near the opener. The under 1.5, I got it at minus 130 on Bovada, and that line has been just completely smashed over the last week and a half, and rightfully so. It's a great play. I mean, the under 1.5 is a great play, but it has been hit. It has been hit a ton. I don't mind it as a parlay piece. It's crazy to say that, parlaying the under 1.5. Typically I would never do anything like that. But it's a Jordan Wright fight. Jordan Wright, 16 professional fights, 15 professional fights. Never seen the over 1.5. Never seen the third round. So yeah, I don't mind. At this point, the under 1.5 as a parlay piece. The fight won't start round 3 as a parlay piece. The under 2.5 as a parlay piece. And I was looking to parlay up some violence, and I only went a unit on this under 1.5 a week and a half ago because I was fully intending on parlaying up. The fight doesn't go. It's just I could not find a parlay piece I liked. I was thinking about maybe parlaying it with Victor Henry, but that came out to minus 190 just about. So I ended up passing here. But yeah, 1 unit, under 1.5, minus 130. I think the unders, the fight doesn't go. Anything violence here is parlayable. It's a Jordan Wright fight. That's it. It's a Jordan Wright fight, and Jordan Wright fights, they finish. As far as picking a winner, I'll go Dusko, but Wright's gonna be live early on. Offensively, the guy's super dangerous. It's just defensively horrible, terrible. But yeah, violence. My third under 1.5 of the night. All right, next we have Jonathan Martinez going against Cub Swanson. I do have a bet here. This was a fight where I needed to see the weigh-ins. I had a fairly strong lean to the dog here in Cub Swanson, but there have been some red flags that popped up throughout the week. A couple of them. So the first red flag is, this was one I already knew. Cub Swanson coming down to 135 for the first time in his career. Red flag number 1. Red flag number 2, Cub Swanson, he's 38 years old. He's turning 39 very soon. Another red flag. Flag number 3, and this is what did it for me. This is why I could not back Cub Swanson this week from a money lines perspective, and that's because the interview where he was getting interviewed, he had a guy that was talking. Was it Dan Argetta, I think? So he didn't talk during the interview. He was resting his voice apparently. Yeah, I've never heard or seen anything like that. Sketchy. Red flag. I mean, that's a red flag. And then he shows up to weigh-ins today with sunglasses. Another red flag, So the age, the weight cut, the interview situation, it just sketches me out. So I'm going to pass here, but I do like the fight doesn't go. I have half a unit on the fight doesn't go, plus 110. The reason being, I think if Cub Swanson wins, it's by knockout. The guy clearly hits hard, and if that power can translate down a weight class, I think he can knock out a chinny Jonathan Martinez, who has been knocked out once before. He's been dropped a ton in the UFC, been hurt a lot. I think Cub Swanson very well could knock him out. On the flip side, I think Martinez can knock out Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson, almost 39, cutting down a weight class. Did he have a tough weight cut? Potentially. And on top of that, Cub Swanson, with that very hands-low style, the head kicks from Martinez will be there. The flying knees for Martinez will be there. And, I think Martinez could knock out a 39-year-old Swanson here. So give me the fight doesn't go. Kind of cover both sides. I think it's going to be a very fun fight. And I think someone gets finished here. So give me the half a unit a shot, and that fight doesn't go. Plus 110. All right, main event, Grasso, Araujo, not much to say here. If you're a live bettor, and this is something I'm going to be taking a hard look at, live bet Alexa Grasso, if anything. Don't lay minus 240 on Grasso here. I mean, there's a really good chance she loses the first round and a half, 2 rounds. I'll be looking to live bet Grasso that second or third round potentially, because I see Ariuja having success early. You know, Ariuja is a very good fighter, very powerful on the feet, very good wrestler, BJJ black belt. The problem with Ariuja is she slows down in pretty much every fight. You know, in the third round and the majority of her fights. I even saw some fights where she was slowing down in the second round, and this is a 5-round fight, so I can't pick her. If this was 3 rounds at these odds, yes, I would be betting Ariuja all day. But 5-round aspect of things, you gotta lean Grasso. But yeah, no bet for me on this main event. Gonna pass, if anything, live bet Grasso after a round or 2. But yeah, guys, that is about it. Kind of a sketchy card. Kind of a ton of sketchy spots here, sketchy fights. But I do like some of my spots, looking to make it 3 winning events in a row. Had a very good card 2 weeks ago, about over +4 units. I don't want to give it all back, so keeping it kind of light this week. Going to attack next week pretty heavy, UFC 280. 2 spots that already stick out, like big spots, big bets for next week already. This is kind of a light week. Like my biggest bet this week is 1 unit. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, just my 3 bets, or my 7 bets, 3 under 1.5s, under 1.5, right Todorovic. Minus 130, 1 unit. That line has moved a ton. It's not really bettable anymore unless you want to parlay it. The under 1.5 in the Serkinov Menefield fight, plus 100. I still think that's bettable. Alexander Brito under 1.5, minus 105, 1 unit. I still think that's bettable, around minus 120. Martinez wins inside the distance, plus 190, half a unit. Mana Martinez wins inside the distance. There's 2 Martinez's, Jonathan and Mana. Mana Martinez wins inside the distance, plus 190, half a unit. Swanson versus Martinez. Jonathan Martinez. Fight doesn't go to decision, plus 100, half a unit. And then a quarter unit sprinkles on the Maximov Malkoun split. Fight to end in split decision on DraftKings. And then the Tatsura Taira submission prop, plus 360, quarter unit on that. One other spot I was looking at was potentially the Vergara money line. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger yet. Also, the Vergara decision only is something that I could potentially see myself taking a quarter unit shot on. Not sure if I'm going to do it, but if I was to add anything, it would be something in terms of Vergara at that price tag. Because I think if Taira does not get the fight down to the mat, he's not looking minus 260. And if he does get the fight down to the mat, I think he's subbing this guy. So best of luck, guys. UFC Vegas 62. Let us make some money. Let us keep it lightish this week. Let us not give all the winnings back from last week, 2 weeks ago. And let's attack next week heavy. UFC 280 is going to be a banger card, and can't wait to get into it. Going to be starting to look into that card fairly soon here. So best of luck, guys. Check out Best Bet 1 hour prior to the prelims. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Check out the Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. Best of luck, guys. See you later.